Okay, take 3 of this motherfucker, because every time that I fucking try to do this shit, some shit fucking happens. Last time my fucking phone needed to be charged, and this time I'm being distracted. Anyways, in my first clip, or my first video on here, you can obviously hear the distress in my voice, thinking back to what my story is and relating it to what this guy's saying. Let me just make it known, I didn't even know about Ghost Adventures until like maybe 5 days ago. For the most part, I mean, I've heard Ghost Hunters, Ghostbusters, but I mean that's not even relevant to this. But I've heard Ghost Hunters, and I didn't really even get into that because it was so trippy and everything. The only reason why I watch shit like this now is because I got my wife sitting here next to me. I ain't gonna lie, that shit trips me the fuck out. I ain't scared, but I'm tripped the fuck out. Anyways, I'm gonna play a video for you, or a small clip. This video here is probably gonna take about a 5-minute period, but I'm gonna play this clip again. Before this video, or before the show, I ain't never heard of it. Let alone would I ever come across the fucking well, you can't really see it. It's the Travel Channel. I don't fucking watch that shit. All right.
Well, we know that there's more than one spirit here. There's good spirits here as well, and that could be the little girl.
I seen the girl.
You've seen the girl. You've seen the little girl ghost. Does she scare you? No?
She's really nice.
She's nice to you. Well, I want to, warn you about a little girl spirit. It's very, very common, I think, in every single demonic location that I've ever investigated with the guys. Wherever there's demonic activity, there's always a spirit of a little girl.
The first time I saw her, she was an adorable little girl.
Both of us saw a little girl.
They say that there's a little girl that's down there, and you can hear her playing sometime and laughing.
I'm a very big believer, 100% in demonic mimicking, portraying something that's sweet and innocent to lure you in, so that you will switch your personality from angry and fearful to inviting this other spirit in. What does she look like?
Big black.
Okay. I used to live in a town called Goliad, and it's very well known. It's a lot of people know that it's haunted if you live in Texas and you've heard of it. There was a big war. There's a fort down there with the face of Jesus burned into the side of it and shit like that. I'm getting goosebumps just fucking talking about this shit. I was living down, I mean, nothing but fields on both sides, pretty much, for a good 2 miles. And I was living in a shitty ass camper and everything. It was out in the middle, or not really in the middle, but it was in the woods, kinda. You had woods on both sides. I mean, not big patch of woods, but maybe about a good yard or so on both sides of the camper. There was I was dating a girl down there at the time, and we were going through a bunch of problems and everything, and I was young, dumb, full of cum and everything, and trying to make it and do everything fucking possible to keep a little bit of fun on the side. But she was down at the track at the high school down there, and she told me that if I wanted to make it work, then I should meet her down there at the track. My car was I was driving a 1996 Ford Escort at the time. it was out of gas. I mean, I wasn't working, and I was freeloading pretty much. Living off of bread, and parents' money and shit. I ain't gonna fucking lie. I was at a low point. And so I did it. It was about 10 o'clock at night, maybe. And I mean, I don't know who the fuck goes running at 10 o'clock at night, but her and her friend that lived about 2 minutes away from the track, they were down there running and shit, and I took off walking. I had my phone on me, had my flashlight and all that crap, and I mean, whenever they say that whenever they say that Goliad's haunted, it's fucking haunted. Alright, I was walking down this road, no cars the entire time that I'm walking. I walked for a good, probably almost an hour. Okay. And I actually had to turn the music on my phone because I was jogging. All right, I was trying to make the time. I was trying to get there, within a reasonable time and everything. So I was kind of jogging, running, but it came down to it that I ran out of breath and everything. So you run out of breath, you light up a cigarette. That makes no sense, but I lit me up a cigarette, and once I stopped to light my cigarette, it sounded like, God damn, I'm getting fucking goosebumps. Sounded like someone was walking behind me, and I was tripping balls. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty fucking tripped out. And it sounded like someone was walking behind me. So I'd turn on my music and I'd start walking, and I just kept the music playing. I kept it out of my mind, kept the music playing, just kept on walking. And I don't even know if you guys can see my face or not. I finally got down to some street lights and anything else, and stopped and caught my breath, and I mean, back it up a little bit. It actually came down to it that I was so tripped out that I took off running, and finally got down to where some streetlights were, and stopped and turned around, and I mean, there was no one there. Obviously, there was no one there, but I swear I could hear someone walking behind me. Well, you keep on walking down, and the only I mean, my phone was almost about 15%, so I couldn't use my GPS. So the only way that I knew how to get to the track was by landmark, and I remembered there being a water tower, and so I kept on walking, and I knew the general area, which way to go and everything else, but to the high school itself, it took me a minute to find it. But right next to the water tower was a cemetery. Fuck. There was a cemetery, and let alone, as I said earlier, there was it sounded like someone walking behind me, and god damn. So I was walking by the cemetery, and I happened to glance over into the cemetery, and this is where I just took off running. I booked it once I seen this. I saw this little girl, maybe about 7 or 8 years old. Jesus Christ, my hair is standing up on end. Wait. Look at that. Not sure if you could see it or not. there was a little girl, maybe about 7 years old or so. I mean, probably came up to my waist in a white dress, and that's whenever I took off running, and I got to the high school, but I couldn't. I was just at the building. I couldn't figure out which way I needed to go to get to the track, and so I called her and everything else, and blah blah blah. I get a ride back home. 2 or 3 days pass, and everything's cool. And everything's cool. Eventually, me and the chick, we break up and everything. She was cheating on me and all kinds of shit like that. Being a hoe. But the little girl, I don't know why. The next time that I seen her, I wasn't tripped out. I was calm. I wasn't, scared of her or anything. I'm about to start crying, and I don't cry. What the fuck? And, like I said, I was staying in this camper, and she would always want to play with me and stuff, like, I'd be inside my camper, watching YouTube videos or, listening to music or whatever else. And then you could hear knocking on the door. That's whenever I first, knew that something was up, was whenever I first heard that knocking on the door, and I opened it and no one was there. And then, later on that night, then I seen her, but I wasn't scared, and, fucking freezing. But I wasn't scared. And then, she would knock on the door every once in a while, especially at night whenever the sun started setting. It wasn't normally during the day or something. She'd usually normally wake me up in the mornings, like whenever it's time to wake up or whenever, because I didn't have any AC. The AC was broke, so it was just blowing hot air. But whenever I would start sweating, I mean, like, if you looked at that Twin movie with Adam Sandler and playing himself and the other chick in the sweat shadow, that was me laying in that camper. And I would get so hot, but I would sleep right through it. And the only time that I would wake up is whenever I heard that knock. And I'd wake up and, I wouldn't hear anything. But, I mean, I could hear it waking up, and, closer that it got to being dark and everything, she would want to play and everything. And if I told her, I don't want to play right now, she would stop. And, you could, you could tell that she was playful. She was a nice person. She wasn't there to harm me or anything. Well, there was several nights where, and especially whenever my wife, came over, we were outside, and I'm not going to go into detail on what was going on, but we were outside, and I was looking into the woods, and you could see, God, I hate talking about this. You could see this black shadow, like a man, standing at the edge of the wood lines. Well, not like edge of the wood lines, but like in the woods, like hiding, almost hiding. And it was just solid black, And whenever I first seen him, I ran inside and I slammed the door shut and locked it and everything else. And, then I would hear that knock. But, it sounded like it was on the inside. And then I could hear her, don't worry, you're okay. And there was several times that I could go outside and I could smoke me a cigarette, enjoy the stars, whatever. I would always do me a little bonfire and stuff. There was a trailer that was torn apart and everything with old newspapers, so I'd have me a little bonfire and stuff. But the shadow, it never left the wood lining. And I'm not sure if it was this video or the last video that I messed up on or whatever, but the wood lines, they were only like a yard thick on both sides of the camper. But it would never leave that wood line, almost like this little girl was keeping it at bay. But I never dared go towards that wood line, ever. And besides during the day, but it was, I seen that black shadow on a minimal, or tops probably 5-6 times. That little girl, she'd knock on my window or knock on my door and everything, and and that was pretty normal occurrence. Like, she wanted to play and everything, but it was like she was keeping that whatever it was, demon, whatever, at bay. And believe it or not, I believe that that demon or whatever it was, that the footsteps behind me was it whenever I was walking. And then once I got to that cemetery, I picked her up along the way, and that's whenever she started to protect me and started making me feel better.